The Force is strong with you, Sky Guy.
Welcome to Clone Wars Universe. I'm Nick, that's Ben. Thank you for joining us in our very first episode of Sky Guy Talk.
Yeah, that's right. And today we're doing the ultimate what-if battles. Versus. So basically, we have a PowerPoint with a bunch of different characters versing each other, and we're going to have sort of a debate about who we think would win the battles, or maybe we'll agree on them. Who knows? We'll have to find out, so here goes the first one.
I think before we jump into the slides, let's talk about the reason that we got this idea, which was because we were talking about Sam Witwer, because we're really big Sam Witwer fans.
Sam Witwer is the biggest Star Wars fan probably of all time. So.
And I asked Ben, who do you think would win in a battle, Starkiller or the Sun? And I was like, obviously they both destroy Maul. But as far as Sam Witwer voicing some of the most powerful characters, which of those two would you... the battles on this list are multiple characters, but as far as just one-to-one, what was your response to that?
I would have to go with the Sun because he's literally the embodiment of the dark side. And I think as powerful as Starkiller is, he may even be in the top 10 most powerful Star Wars characters of all time, but we'll get to that in another video. Stay tuned, yeah. I think the Sun has got him outmatched, yeah.
Alright, so this is a PowerPoint I created. Ben has not seen it at all. I'm not even sure that I know the answers to all of the what-ifs on here, but we're just going to kind of process it and discuss it and see what we come up with. So,
yeah.
First battle is... How about you go ahead and read that, Ben?
Yeah. Palpatine, the Sun, and Maul versus Starkiller, Ahsoka, and Vader. Okay, so we have 3-on-3 here. That's pretty interesting. Well, I guess we have to go with like how powerful each person is. I mean, obviously, we already talked about the Sun and Starkiller, so the Sun takes Starkiller, so there's already a lead in that. But I believe that Vader would overcome Maul. So there's a little bit of a back and forth on that. And then with Palpatine and Ahsoka, I don't know. What were your thoughts on this, on creating it?
I think you don't only have to take into account the fact that, you know, which of these two would win, which of these two would win, which of these two would win,
right.
But how they work as a team.
Right.
Not just one-on-one. Because if you think about it like the battle where it's like Obi-Wan and Ventress against Maul and Savage, and it's not really 2-on-2, it's like 1-on-1 and 1-on-1.
Right.
Because they're separated, it's like Obi-Wan and Maul are fighting, and then Ventress and Savage are fighting. I didn't think of it like that. I thought of it as literally all 6 of them are together,
yeah,
fighting it out at once as teams, you know, teams of 3. But I'm probably going to have to go with the first team just because, well, I actually kind of disagree with Ben on the whole Sun Starkiller thing. I kind of think, well, we can get into that more later, but either way, I think the Sun and Palpatine teamed up.
The Palpatine.
The Palpatine is gonna go all the way. I think Vader and Ahsoka would be a great team, but like, I mean, we know Vader can't overpower Palpatine, and if Vader can't, then Ahsoka can't, and then, I mean, Palpatine just has the added bonus of the Sun on his side, and I mean, Palpatine could probably take Vader and Ahsoka all by himself, and then the Sun and Maul could team up to take down Starkiller, which, I mean, if we're looking at, I mean, probably, I mean, it's debatable, but probably Maul is the least powerful.
That's what I was about to say too, yeah. Yeah.
But I still think, despite the fact that he's on Palpatine, I do believe that Palpatine and the Son, as a team, could take on, could maybe even take on all three of them together, and then Maul would just make it a little bit easier for them.
I would have to agree, but also we have to take into consideration that Vader has a relationship with Ahsoka as well as Starkiller. He trained both of them.
I honestly didn't even think of that when I put this together.
So there could be a lot of good chemistry there. He taught them a lot of similar moves. Ahsoka and Starkiller both have the same training techniques. Backward held lightsabers. So, I mean, you have to take into consideration the chemistry there, but also, I mean, the dark side and all three of the Palpatine members, and Palpatine being more powerful than all three of, Starkiller, Ahsoka, and Vader. I could definitely see that as an upper hand for them, so they might have the win on that one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Starkiller, Ahsoka, and Vader were to come up with a clever plan to defeat them.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, like, whatever the chemistry between them, because Maul and Palpatine also have chemistry, because Palpatine trained Maul.
Right.
But then you throw the Son into that equation. I feel like Palpatine and the Son would absolutely despise each other.
Yeah.
I feel like they would see each other as being rivals and wouldn't want to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Which shouldn't really be part of the question because we're looking at if they were on each other's side.
Right.
But still, they could still work together while not getting along.
Yeah.
Whereas here, all of the Clone Wars is basically Anakin and Ahsoka like breaking the rules to save everyone's lives.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe the three of them could outsmart those three arrogant idiots.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Palpatine is an evil genius, but he is arrogant, so.
I think there's going to be a lot of personality differences between Palpatine and the Son because they're both so egotistical and they both see themselves as the Sith Lord. I guess not the Sith Lord.
The Son isn't a Sith.
Yeah.
The dark side.
Yeah, they both see themselves as the masters of the dark side, and I feel like there'd be a lot of conflict between them, even though they're on the same team. So I'd agree with that on that.
I agree, but disagree with you. I agree with you saying that they wouldn't work together, but I just disagree with one thing you said, that there's like personality differences between Palpatine and the Son, but I think really what it is that they're exactly the same.
No, that's what I mean.
And that's why they wouldn't get along, because they're basically the same person in their heads.
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna go with I wanted to go with Palpatine, but then when you brought up the whole chemistry thing, that made me kind of want to change, because just a lot of times in Star Wars, it isn't just based on power levels like Dragon Ball Z. It's based on who's going to outsmart the other person.
Yeah, if we were going straight on power, I would go with Palpatine. However, I'm sorry, it's just
Palpatine.
The Palpatine. You gotta, I don't know. But, however, the other team can outsmart them. I wouldn't put it past them to do that.
We're gonna go undecided.
We'll go undecided on this one. This was good though.
All right, should we look at the next one?
Yeah, we're gonna go on to the next one.
Hopefully they're not too similar, but.
Okay, so it looks like we have all Jedi, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Kit Fisto versus Yoda, Ahsoka, and Plo Koon. So we have another Ahsoka. So we'll see how that matches up. All right. I guess with the last one, taking into consideration the chemistry, I'm going to have to do the same thing with this one. Obi-Wan and Mace Windu. Hello, what?
I just keep talking. I'm just pointing out as you're saying chemistry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Obi-Wan and Mace Windu. Jedi Masters. I mean, obviously Kit Fisto, but like we've seen them work together a lot during the Clone Wars. Um, yeah, I've run out of words. So
Well, if we're going to talk about chemistry, let's talk about the two of them, because if Anakin was Ahsoka's brother, Plo Koon was her father. Because he found her, brought her to the Jedi Temple, and I think they have a very strong connection, and she looks up to Yoda. If we're going on power, these three might have more power, but I think Kit Fisto is going to outmatch Plo Koon as far as dueling.
if we were to have them one-on-one, I would say Kit Fisto has the upper hand over Plo Koon. However, this is, as you said before, a 3-on-3.
Yeah, not
So-
one-on-one.
Right, yeah. So, I just have to take into consideration all of their power levels. I think it also, you have to take into consideration, like, where they are in the Star Wars universe, too. Like, are they, like, Ahsoka started off as just a youngling who wanted to learn more, and are we talking about like halfway through the Clone Wars? Are we talking about where she's at her max power level? Are we talking at the end of Rebels where she's defeated a few Inquisitors? What are we talking?
I think, let's just say Season 7, Revenge of the Sith, for all of them.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, Yoda would outpower Mace, but I also feel like those three together would, I don't know.
Those three
It's-
together are a strong team, but I think Yoda could outpower any one of them on that team.
Yeah, I mean, if you use Palpatine as a comparison, I mean, Palpatine killed the two of them
Right.
and
right.
couldn't kill Yoda.
That's true, yeah.
And I mean, supposedly Palpatine only fought Mace Windu for 5 minutes or whatever, because he was waiting for Anakin to show up. But he could have killed all four of them all at once, right away. He just wanted to leave one of them alive to make Anakin choose. So,
Yeah.
so I think if we're gonna look at it like that, and then Palpatine powers up even more when he fights Yoda, and still can't kill Yoda. So if we're gonna compare Palpatine with Yoda, if Palpatine could take out the three of them, then Yoda could take out the three of them, and then the chemistry of
Plo Koon and Ahsoka.
little Ahsoka, as he calls her,
Oh,
little
right.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, right.
Then I guess I'd go with this team. I wasn't thinking that originally, just because of power, but then I was like, well, if you break it down.
I have to admit, at first I was on the side of Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Kit Fisto. Just seeing all of them together, grouped into one, I was like, that's a pretty powerful group there. But after kind of breaking down how they've all been defeated in the Star Wars universe and how Yoda survived, and kind of talking out loud and breaking it down, and then taking chemistry into consideration, I think I'd have to agree that Yoda, Ahsoka, and Plo Koon would outpower them.
All right, next.
Oh, now we have a 2-on-2, Palpatine and Starkiller versus Yoda and the Sun. Wow. I'm trying to see the connections between these two teams. I know Yoda and the Sun are very different. Not sure how they would get along and team up, but I'm trying to see it. Palpatine and Starkiller, obviously, the connection would be, the mutual connection would be Vader. So I feel like Palpatine would kind of have a hatred for Starkiller for Vader picking him as his apprentice, as there is to be the rule of two. but I guess I'm going to have to take into consideration their power levels as opposed to their chemistry for this one. So, I don't know, what are your beginning thoughts when you put this together, or what they are now after I said that?
I think either way, at this point, I think this is the easiest one for me to decide. I think it's pretty plain and simple. Which you mentioned the rule of two, which basically, I mean, I think Palpatine isn't gonna have his feelings hurt. You know, in the moment that he finds out Vader's training Starkiller, he's gonna be like, you need to kill the boy. But after that point, you know, if the Force Unleashed was canon, what ends up happening with Starkiller, Palpatine has a plan for him. And that plan is the same plan he had with Luke, which was to replace Vader. And we know that, I mean, Starkiller kills Vader at the end, and then Palpatine wants Starkiller to replace him. So I think...
I'm thinking in a one-on-one that Yoda would take Palpatine and the son would take Starkiller. So...
Palpatine beat Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, he couldn't
He
kill
didn't
him.
kill him. He couldn't kill him, though.
He couldn't kill him, but I definitely think Yoda was bested.
This is true.
Anyways, I'm Palpatine. I think the two of them doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean Yoda can, you know, put the Force lightning back at them, and the son's got his weird, crazy red lightning. But I think with, you know, all the powers that were, you know, really prominent in the Force Unleashed, and just kind of, you know, I mean, they're exaggerated, but if we're gonna say that, you know, they have to be taken into account, and Starkiller can do ball lightning and all this other crazy stuff, lightsaber whirlwind, all these techniques that he learned from Vader, and put that together with Palpatine. I think those two over these two.
I say while your argument is compelling, I'm a little undecided. I still kind of can see Yoda and the son outsmarting them. Not outsmarting them, but overpowering them in some sense. Yeah, Yoda was bested by Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, but I feel like... I don't know. I feel there's potential with that team.
And also the son kind of... He didn't turn good or anything, but he pretended and stuff to trick Anakin, and, you know, put the vision of the future in his mind. You know, he could do something like that to Yoda to maybe make Yoda help him.
Yeah, and it seems that, you know, from the story of The Force Unleashed, that Starkiller is pretty easily tricked, and that the son could probably outsmart him in that way.
That's in the beginning, when Palpatine comes in and tells Vader to kill him. You know, and he's like, I did not summon him, his spies followed you here, and Palpatine's like, yes, Lord Vader, kill him, and whatever. That's in the beginning, when Starkiller's still all about, my master, you'll never convince me to betray my master. Yeah. But then by the end of it, he becomes an entirely different person. You know, he, along with a lot of other characters, has an arc, and by the end, you know, he says, you know, he goes from saying, you'll never convince me to betray my master, to Shaak Ti, to telling Vader, without me, you'll never be free. And he knows that he wasn't free as a Sith, and he now knows that, and he knows Vader isn't either, so he knows he has a better foresight on, not foresight, he has a better outlook on life after his experiences, and I think he'd be able to not be tricked anymore. If we're saying it's end of Force Unleashed.
Right, yeah, fair point. Yeah. I guess it does matter where we're putting them in the story. If he's already gone through that, then yeah, fair point.
I don't think it matters for the son. Because, well, I mean, we only know the son at one point, but even if you forget that, I mean, I don't want to say he isn't like physical. He's I don't know. He is a physical being because he gets killed, but he's also in a whole different realm.
Right.
That just like, I don't think it's like he's training. I think he's just like this spirit or ghost of Mortis that he just automatically has all of this immaculate power.
Yeah, yeah. He's like between the spiritual realm and the physical realm, so it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, he isn't like getting more powerful. He's already at his peak.
Right, yeah.